What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. There's a lot that goes into the success of a breakout hit, but Palworld is a little bit different. Coming from a smaller developer, creating an absolute explosion in the video game scene where it seems like every person I know is either playing this game or finding out more about it before they dive into it. But what exactly makes Palworld so interesting, so special, so different when many people on the outside looking in say, oh, it's just Pokemon with guns. It's not anything special or new. Why do people care about this? Well, in this video, we're going to dive into exactly what makes Palworld so special and talk about an interview that the devs of Palworld had with Japanese TV that is absolutely hysterical. JT. Hit that subscribe if you enjoy this video, hit that like, and check out smashjt.com. I will link this article in the description below talking about what makes Palworld so damn special. In this video, we're going to talk about a little bit more insight from the developer. In an industry where blockbuster titles and mega franchises dominate the landscape, the story of Palworld stands out as a testament to the power of a simple yet compelling philosophy. Create a game that people genuinely enjoy. And wow, does that sound so obvious that every developer out there should be doing it? But what seems to be lost as time has gone on is gaming has become corporate. It's become cookie cutter, robotic, assembly line. Okay, to make a good game, you have to make sure that this happens, and then this happens, and XYZ happens. And that did work for a little while. But once that formula went stale, gamers were wondering what was next. Palworld is the answer. Creating a game that people genuinely enjoy. That's a very easy thing to say, but a challenging thing to nail down. But Palworld seems to have found that perfect line to walk in between copying another game franchise, but adding things to it to make it as enjoyable as possible. As somebody who's worked in the game industry directly before, in my case at Sony as a QA analyst, I would go through playing these games and finding out what makes them tick and how to make them better. But this screenshot I'm going to overlay right now talks about the developers and how in over their head they were. This was posted on Reddit, and I'm going to start at the top here where someone said, they're interviewing the Palworld guys on Japanese TV. None of them knew how to develop a game. We all learned on the job. The budget of this game was $10,000. So think about that from an indie perspective where there's seemingly an endless amount of games in the landscape of the video game industry with indie devs trying to make the next great thing but trying to compete with these behemoth of AAA companies pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into games these days. And this is the kind of game that wins. Boobity Bob said, Game Freak in shambles. And I wanted to highlight that real quick because it does show an interesting dichotomy between Nintendo and Game Freak and Pokemon and the games that they've been putting out, and people have been expressing their frustration, especially when the graphics come into play and how it's not really next gen and it doesn't really have all the bells and whistles that people have come to expect with modern gaming. In comes this random no-name developer with a game that looks a lot like Pokemon, but seemingly does everything better. And maybe some aspects of it may not be technically as good as Pokemon, but what they focus on is the fun, making sure that at the end of the day, this game is a good time. But it continues. Most models and gun stuff was done by some middle schooler who was working part-time at a convenience store the devs went to. That's how they found someone to make the models. And initially there was a lot of complaints about how this was AI generated and that was the thing the media was going to try to push the narrative to take this game down. It's fascinating how a smaller developer tries to create a game and how it seems to be a narrative pushed by the media trying to tear it down because they can't have some small independent game company have any success in the landscape. Originally they were going to do Unity, but they realized it was laggy, so they switched to Unreal on the advice of their senior dev who had worked with Unreal once before. The storyline of how this game got put together reminds me a lot of kind of what happened with GoldenEye and this cobbled together group of people that barely knew how to make a game, but when they came together, they focused on the fun aspect of it and everything else went out the window. And because they were limited with how they knew how to develop a game, they actually found new ways to develop that these big time developers didn't even think of because they already did the cookie cutter formula. They weren't doing anything original. None of them knew how to use Unreal, and so they decided to split up the ducks. The senior dev had to teach everyone else what Unreal was, and this one's great. This is my favorite part of it. The decision to make it Pokemon with guns was because they were worried the game would not be a global success unless they added guns to it, because Americans like to shoot things. If that's not like the most Japanese take I've ever heard on what America is like, I don't know what is. Sure, America has this mentality that they like to shoot things, but that's not all what America is all about. People around the world just watch the news and they're like, oh man, Americans with their guns, that's what they love. You know, guns, freedom, shooting, that's America. That's what they thought. That's why they wanted to put guns in this game. The gender-neutral Type A character creator was likewise because Americans sometimes want to make very ugly characters. I'm not going to touch that one, but yeah, this goes to show the developers were literally just trying to make a game that they thought people wanted to play, and going into it with the mindset of, let's make it fun, let's focus on what people would want if they could create their own game, and hopefully at the end of the day, what comes out at the end is actually what people wanted. No version control was used at all. We didn't really know which one would work, so we copied all the files onto a flash drive every day. Every week, we would buy a bucket of new flash drives. Working in the video game industry and hearing that, it is the most hysterical line you could ever think of. Not having version control and just buying flash drives and throwing them in a bucket, keeping new ones going. It's a miracle this game even came out. This one's classic. I hadn't gotten hired by any big game companies, and I was very surprised that Steam would just let anyone publish anything. I don't think I would be a good fit at Nintendo. They want to make things that are groundbreaking and creative. I'm a trend follower. So this developer said he probably wouldn't get hired at Nintendo because they do groundbreaking and creative stuff. This guy admits 100% to copying the formula of Pokemon, but making it fun. Like, what a novel concept. And yes, I know I'm probably offending a lot of the Poke freaks out there that just love their Pokemon, and more power to you. But there is something to be said for a developer that enjoys Pokemon, but says, I like this, but how do I make it more fun? And ending it with one of the best quotes that I could ever hear in my life. What is your creative vision? The developer responds, I don't have a creative vision. I just want to make a game that people like. Wow. How about some brutal honesty at the end there where he's just like, yeah, I don't have any visions. I don't have this mantra that we need to follow. I don't have these key concepts and core, this is the ideology of my company. No, it's, hey, I'm a developer. I make video games. I want to make the video games more fun. How do we do that? What a novel concept! And Palworld is hardly one of the only monster taming games out there, but what it does is compile all these monster taming games together and take the best and most fun aspects that each of them use and put them into one singular game. And as much as people want to get mad at it because it uses potential AI, which what I've heard has been debunked anyway, but even if it was AI, like, that doesn't matter. People need to understand. Gamers want to play fun games. We don't care about being politically correct or following the narrative of the media. We literally, at the end of the day, want to be entertained by playing the most fun game we can. And Palworld, out of everything, understands that main point. The game's development team, while acknowledging their inspirations, have not shied away from experimenting and infusing their unique vision into this game. Their approach has resulted in a product that stands out for its quality and ingenuity. Sure, on the surface it sounds like a carbon copy of all these monster hunting and monster collecting games, but at the end of the day, it's its own unique product. It's a lesson for all developers in the industry. Success isn't just about having a massive budget or a well-known brand. It's about understanding the audience and delivering a product that aligns with their interests and passions. And ultimately, that's all that matters. If anything comes out of Palworld, that the good thing for the entire industry is they realize that if you just focus on making a game fun and putting all the best aspects into a game that you possibly can, it will draw the people. If you build it, they will come. Palworld is Exhibit A for why developers need to rethink how they're going about the cookie-cutter formulas. And Palworld's development story is an inspiring one for the entire video game industry. Emerging from a relatively modest background, the team behind the game has shown that with talent, dedication, and a clear vision, success is attainable, even in a competitive market. It's a narrative that echoes like zero to hero journeys, resonating deeply with both players and aspiring developers alike. And like I said previously, this is a lesson that everyone can learn from. As far as the sales numbers of this game, they are blowing it out of the water. Matt Piscatella on Twitter said, according to Circana's player engagement tracker, on January 22nd, Palworld surpassed Fortnite in US XBS DAU. On that day alone, Palworld players on XBS in the US played Palworld for more than 200 minutes on average. Bonkers numbers. And for someone who's understanding the game industry, if you're telling me that you put a game out there and the amount of people downloading and playing this game are breaking records left and right, but not just the amount of people playing the game, but the amount of time that they're playing the game on average, 200 minutes per person, is insanity. And yeah, I get it. It's because the game is new and everyone's finding out about it and talking about it right now. But even with that in mind, the numbers are still mind-boggling, especially for a small indie team that really didn't know what the hell they were doing. Palworld's success is not just a win for its developers, it's a win for the gaming community and the video game industry at large. It serves as a reminder that at the heart of every great game is a simple desire to create something that people love. This mantra, if embraced more widely, could ironically champion in a whole new era of innovation and creativity in gaming, bringing forth experiences that not only commercially successful, but also artistically fulfilling by building off games that have already carved out a successful niche of their own. This is the future of gaming. And yeah, you can hate it all you want because it's copying what already exists, but at the end of the day, if everything has already been created, the next logical step in game development is to better what is already there. And Palworld is Exhibit A for doing just that. Palworld isn't just a game, it's a blueprint for the future of game development on the whole. And with that, I'm going to leave it there. But yeah, Palworld is completely taking over everyone and everything right now, consuming the game industry as we know it. Let me know in the comments if you've tried Palworld, what you think about it, and if you think this is the future of game development. Again, don't forget to check out smashjt.com. I will link this article in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. Smash J.